So, and it seems like we are starting with our race. So, let's explain a few basics. So, in this prologue, we every time we do a little jump, we save like a little bit of time, and if we do this correctly throughout this entire prologue, we are about to save 1 to 2 seconds. So, yeah, that's kind of important. Like, okay, 1 to 2 seconds is like not that big of a deal, but it saves time, and everything that saves time is, for a speedrunner, interesting. So in chapter 1, it's a very straightforward chapter, and there's not that much going on. Like in the speedrun, we are just using all different speed tech, like hyper dashes, wave dashes, wall bounces, dash jumps, all the stuff you will see and hear in the future of the runs. So yeah, it's like a nice little introduction to all these things, and nice warm-up, you can say. But besides that, there's not that much going on in this chapter, so yeah, let's see if our run is pulling off something very interesting, like which I'm unfamiliar with. And I know, like, I would say I know most stuff, but there are some threads that like surprise me. Unfortunate death from Mikey. Unfortunate death again. Oh, he's going... Okay, now I see why he's dying. Normally you line up with the wall, but he's not going on that wall for that spike jump, and that's why he died there a bunch. Like, the spike jump is actually very consistent, because we have that wall above the spikes where we can line up ourselves perfectly for that spike jump, but for whatever reason he didn't went for the wall and went straight to the spike jump, which looked very interesting. So yeah, that was chapter 1. In chapter 2, things are getting a little bit more interesting. So we get dream blocks, and yeah, like dream blocks add a nice fast pace to the game, I would say. Like, they're not that extremely special, but they're nice to play around with. So yeah, they get activated after the cutscene, and what they do is you can dash through them, and you can't change your direction once you dash into them or through them. And if you hit a wall, like if you have to hit a wall to get out of the block, you die. So you've gotta be a little bit more careful with your dashes and dream blocks, but normally there we see how you can die in dream blocks, but normally you shouldn't have any big problem with it. And adding to those dream blocks, we have now Battleon. So Battleon is like not an evil part, but like a part who has angels and stuff of Madeline. And yeah, she's following us and chasing us with a 3-second delay and copies every of our moves. And yeah, Mikey is actually going for some really interesting casual strats, at least in that room. Yeah, I wouldn't expect something like that from an... So funny, sorry for yawning. But as I said, it's very early in the morning for me. It's something I'm not expecting from a sub 40 runner, but hey, maybe he's just playing super safe and don't want to risk anything. Yeah, also very unfortunately, Tridecatrix has some PC issues, but we have to deal with it. So yeah, my focus is generally on Mikey's stream, whatever. So now he's just finishing chapter 2. And these rooms can be tricky a little bit for most runners because there are a lot of corners where you can get stuck on and lose a bunch of time just by simply not playing optimized. So yeah, wow, nice key missing. So Mikey is now in chapter 3, and chapter 3 is actually, I realized a few days ago, probably the second hardest / hardest chapter, with chapter 7 in this entire speedrun. In a casual playthrough, if you go for all berries, that's probably not true, because berries in this chapter are not as hard as others, in my opinion. But just in the speedrun, and any percent you can say, I think that's probably the hardest chapter for most runners. And most runners have like the most or second most deaths in this chapter, and second most is still good because you most of the time have more deaths in chapter 7, and chapter 7 is 2 times longer than this chapter. So it's arguable that you have more deaths in chapter 7 than in this chapter. So yeah, but why do people die in this chapter often? Or why is this chapter that hard? It's just because of these dust bunnies. We already saw like those black and red, black things with red outlines. Those things are called dust bunnies, and you see them moving, and their movement is not random, but like based on the cycle. And if you mess up a little bit, you get into some trouble and just die. And in other chapters you have a harder time to die, if that makes any sense. So yeah, this chapter caused a lot of trouble for most runners. So yeah, Mikey is now in huge mess. Where we have to go through 3 segments of the hotel to hit a switch at each end to clean up the hotel. That's what like generally going on here. So far, yeah, Mikey is like going his way through this like huge mess section. Yeah, have some deaths here and there, but yeah, I would have said, but so far it's still a okay to good job. But as soon as you start talking positive about a runner, he's going to die. Like commentators curse for the win, it seems like. So I should stop doing this. So, and we cleaned this entire hotel just to get the key in the middle of that big room. And now Mighty is heading to the end of chapter 3. Like, he's in the last few rooms of the hotel itself, but yeah, people who know this game know what will come up. And yeah, it's probably the hardest part of this entire hotel. But yeah, so far, Mighty has some trouble with these last rooms. Yeah, he's going for the wall bounces. These wall bounces are kind of precise, but saves a little bit of time and look actually very nice. Now this room looks also pretty cool. You gotta do 4 hyper dashes, short hump hyper dashes, whatever, in order to get through this room very fast, and he got it second try or third try. Yeah, pretty good job. Like, being consistent at that is kinda hard for actually most runners. Like, it's not that hard to mess that up once in a while. So yeah, now in the Mikey is in the Oshiro section. And Oshiro, the owner of the hotel, you might have saw him during the chat that we constantly talk to him. Like, if you play the game casually, you will have more time with him because you talk obviously to him, but in the speedrun skip all the cutscenes. And we actually battle him, make him upset, and now he's angry and tries to chase us and hurt us. And we have to run away from him. But he's also not random. He's like, after a certain amount of time, he's charging at you, and he's constantly like being at the same height as you are, and after a certain amount of time he's starting to charge forward. So yeah, 6:22. I don't think Mikey is really that happy with that time, because yeah, for a sub 40 that's probably actually a little bit slower than normally. But yeah, maybe like he went for some safer threats, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, for tournament purposes maybe, so that's totally fine then if you are slower than normally. So yeah, Mikey now in chapter 4, and like every other chapter, chapter 4 has also its own unique mechanics. Like you see right now, those clouds, if you jump off of them with the correct timing, you get a little boost. You have those moving blocks. Once you touch them, they start to move in whatever direction they desire to move, and some of them you can actually change the direction a little bit. And we have bubbles. They're like an additional dash in the air, and you get your dash back. And we have the wind. You already saw, but I didn't really mention it. But there we have the wind again. So yeah, the wind is very like self-explanatory. It pushes you either like to the left or to the right. Depends how the wind is blowing. And this affects every of your movement but your dashes. So that's why the wind is in a casual playthrough very annoying, because yeah, people has a hard time to deal with it. But in a speedrun where we have all these different dash mechanics and generally use a lot of dashes because it's a fast way to move around, it's actually not that big of a deal. So yeah, Mikey now in the auto-scroller room, you can't really skip anything here. So he just played that very simple, very casually, very slow, because there's no reason to hassle and speed it up. So yeah, Mikey so far on a really good pace this chapter. So yeah, Mikey now in the last room, and yeah, getting a sub 40, a sub 4, like sub 340. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I would assume that's probably not also not his fastest time, but I think it's faster than his average, so he can be happy about this chapter 4 time. So yeah, Mikey now in chapter 5. Chapter 5 has also, I think you can say this in every chapter, but yeah, chapter 5's new game mechanics are dash blocks. Like so far, are dash blocks. They move whenever you dash. Seems obvious, like that one. The block just moves when you dash. And you have red bubbles. We will see now. Yeah, okay. I was wondering if he's going for the double bubble skip, but yeah, he just missed the bubble. So yeah, they're similar to green bubbles, but they travel in whatever direction you're holding, in like as long as you hit the wall, dash out of them, or hit the spike. So they go also through screen transitions, and yeah, are like pretty unique for a jump and run. And yeah, the mirror temple is like split in two parts. One is the mirror temple itself, and the other one is in the mirror. And Mikey is now in the mirror, where we have those lovely seekers. They become like our best friends in this chapter, like you just saw. And yeah, what they're doing once they see you, they're going to charge at you and try to hit you, but they can also be very helpful because they can, as you saw, activate switches and stuff for the player. And yeah, you have to like good runners can move them, can use them very intelligent for like to do most stuff for them. But for most runners, they're actually annoying and more of a problem than anything to help. So, and now in the last section we have Theo. Theo is like our little buddy. We are not our little buddy, but a buddy of us. We met during our adventure on this mountain. In the speedrun, I see him like the first time actually in action here. Normally he's a very like normally we talk a lot with him in a casual playthrough. And now he's in a prison, prisoned in a crystal, and don't ask me why, but he is. And we have to carry him out and yeah, bring him to the exit. And moving around with Theo is actually quite fun, but also very differently from every other movement in the game. Because when you normally walk with him, you get slowed down, but if you grab him with any momentum, you get a little boost. And your momentum gets extended and is faster. But besides that, you are normally slower. Did I say smaller earlier? I meant slower. You are then slower than normally. So, yeah. He entered now chapter 6. Chapter 6, actually, little side note because you see a lot of water. As far as I know, the developers planned at the beginning to make this entire level a water level. Luckily they didn't, but yeah, that would have been a painful chapter then. Because the water movement is very weird. Like, it's not that weird. You have just infinite dashes and stuff, but it's not that much fun. Like, imagine this entire level is a water level. There's not that much you can do with it. So yeah, good decision by the developers. But yeah, other new mechanics in this chapter are feathers. You touch them and fly through the air. We already saw them quite a lot. And we have cavern blocks. You dash into them, they charge at you. Very simple. And we will see later on some bumpers. They are like pinball bumpers. Very, very simple and self-explanatory as well. So there we have the bumpers more in use, and you saw what they actually do. So Mickeynow is in the section where you can choose between an upper and a bottom path, and yeah, you can change them as you want. It's like some are faster and some are slower, some are harder to play and some are easier to play. So yeah, but technically it's not that big of a deal if you go for another one. If it's your if it fits to your playstyle, or yeah, if it's just your personal preference, you are allowed to use everything you want. Also, like Tridecatrix, we can't really track him because of his stream issues, but he just finished chapter 3, so yeah, congrats to him. Actually his time is not that bad for a 58 timed runner, so he maybe can get the PB in this run actually. So yeah, he just entered Mikey and just entered the boss fight of this chapter, which is a big part of this chapter, and now you have the amazing music and the big heya meme in the community. Okay, it's not actually a meme, but you know what I mean. So yeah, how does this boss fight works? So yeah, you gotta reach Badeline as fast as possible in order to hit her. Like, okay, that's our goal as a speedrunner, but that's not like you have to hit her. And you just have to get near her, and that will count as a hit. And when after you hit her, she's getting into a new position in the current room or gets to the next room. And yeah, that's everything you need to know. So yeah, Mikey now entering the like last part of the Battleland fight, so only a few more rooms to go, and then this epic fight is done. In a casual playthrough, this boss fight feels like it goes on forever. At least that was the thing I was thinking during this boss fight, because it actually takes quite long, but in the speedrun it's very short. And as I said, Mikey is already in the last room. Yeah, he's still on a sub 8 pace. If he plays now well. But yeah, these devs are getting him a hard time. Giving him a hard time. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know, but Battlin's laser timing is somehow pretty weird. But there he goes. And after boss fight we get a level up. So what changes? Our hair is now pink instead of red. Like it gets red after the first dash, and after the second dash it's getting blue like normally. So yeah, you heard right, we now have 2 dashes instead of 1. Like before we had 1 dash before we have to touch the ground or getting our dash back in another way. But now we have 2 dashes before we have to do something like that, and that adds a lot of like variety in what the runner can do compared to the casual route. Like in this last chapter, chapter 7 is the last chapter by the way, you will see compare to the casual routes or the intended routes, you will see some very interesting routing throughout the rooms, because with 2 dashes we are able to do some interesting things. So yeah, what chapter 7 is technically is, as you already see, you revisit every location of the earlier chapters. Like not the chapters itself, like you have different levels, but the locations are the same. So, and that's like, if you think from the story side about it, it's actually very intelligent and very logical. But yeah, because we get knocked down the entire mountain and now we have to climb up back, and what we have to do obviously is to go through each location again, because that was what we did in the first place. And yeah, as I said, we have to revisit every chapter. That means also we have to revisit the hotel section of the run, which means we have more dust bunnies and more cycles. So yeah, that's with the hotel and with 3000 meters, I would say. These 3 parts, like chapter 3, 1500 meters and 3000 meters, are the hardest parts in the game. by far. And let's see if Mikey can go through here without any big problems. That was one of the 2 long rooms that can cause a lot of pain. That's the second one. Like if you die in here, and if you die especially at the end of it, you will lose so much time. That's it's unfair, I would say. So yeah, he got through the 1500 meter section without any big problems. Now he is in the 2000 meter sections, which is a representation of Golden Ridge. Mickeynow in the second last part of the 7th chapter, still with a really good pace. Like, I don't know about his PB in this chapter, but yeah, it don't seems like that bad of a pace. But he has a hard time with this room. I don't get really. So now he's going for key skip. Let's see if he can get it first try. And there we go. So what you do there, you do a wall jump into a spike jump, and in order, if you do it correctly, you can get to the key without entering the bottom room with is the casual strat, like the casual way to get the key. Also, one interesting fact is in every last room of the sections, you have Battlein appearing again in her like purple bubbles, and you just gotta reach her so she launches you upwards and gets into her new position. And you have to do this, and you're not allowed to miss any of these positions because you need her at the end. And actually, in most rooms you can't even get further without Battlein, so yeah. Now Mikey is in the 3000 meter section, which is yeah, one of the most fun gameplay parts in the game, especially casually. In a speedrun, this is where stress and nerves, and if you're on PB pace, yeah, everything comes down and you get super nervous and might freak out and stuff. But yeah, it's a well made last level. So in my opinion, Thorskip is like the most stupidest thing people can go for if their time is above 31 minutes. So yeah, he did everything right. But that's maybe just me, because I really hate Thorskip. Thorskip is like, I don't see any sense in doing it if you are slower than 31 minutes. Like there's no reason for it. It's like super stupid to go for it. So yeah, once Mikey finished, we're also going to shut down stream because of the lag of Tridecatrix stream. We can't really like commentate it, and Mikey's not really interested in interviews. So yeah, this stream is going to close very soon. Yeah, I know, but for me, Thorskip is stupid, and even though it's fun, if you don't get it every time first try, you lose so much time, and you can just save 1 second. That's way too big of a risk, so just don't go for it. Yeah, but let's not talk about Gazelle. Like, oh man, I really like her as a streamer, but her decision making of what she should learn in this game is like making me upset. More or less. Like, I don't get it how people with her time are going for something like this. Like, no. Just practice something else and you will have way more outcome of it. So yeah, Mikey finished with a 41-11. GG's to Mikey to be the winner of this run. There we are. So yeah. I'm now going to leave you. It was I'm honestly sorry for the bad commentary, but I'm super tired for whatever reason because it's that early in the morning. But I still hope I entertained or gave some good informations to you. And I hope you had a lot of fun during that race. Check out both of their streams. Like, I don't think Tridecatrix has that many stream issues normally, but today he just has. And Mikey, yeah, he played very safe, he played very differently than most people do, so he's probably an interesting streamer to watch and follow. So yeah, my name was 5177 and I wish you a good night or a good day, depends on where you live, and bye, see you next time.